Okay, hello, everybody. So nice to see everybody. This is the first time in a really long time that we've been able to get together. And it's just so nice to be able to look out and see so many familiar faces, and of course, see some faces that I do not recognize. So thank you for being here. Today's AGM and education session is hybrid, so I want to give a special shout out to all of those who are watching us virtually right now and attending our education and our AGM today virtually. And I'm just so grateful that you're all able to be here with us today. Before we kick off, though, we just want to, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Phaedra. I'm the CEO. I have the great honor of being the CEO of the BC Schizophrenia Society. And what I mean it's an honor, I truly mean it is an honor. And as I look around this room and see so many members of my amazing, incredible team, as well as both boards, the policy committee, the medical advisory board, I'm just so truly grateful and honored that I get to be a part of this team. So thank you for that. If you are a member of BCSS, then you are able to vote today. You should have received your voting package. And if you didn't, please let us know, because you do need that package. And for members that are joining us virtually, voting is going to be easy. You just have to click or tap on the option corresponding to your choice. And then you do have to submit you have to click on the submit button just to confirm that. So in person, it's easy to vote. You're going to have 3 cards: yes, no, abstain. And you're going to physically be putting it up into the air to acknowledge and to show what your corresponding answer is. And there again, virtually, we are going to do a little practice run. So for everybody who is online right now, we're going to test a few little fun questions for you. So if you are online, please get ready. And if you are having issues, just use the Q&A box down at the bottom and let us know, and we will certainly help you as best we can. So, testing poll, question number 1. Do you prefer cats or you prefer some dogs? So, prefer cats or dogs? Cat, dog, or both? So, testing question for those online. And I'm going to get Andrew, I can see his head nodding. He's waiting for the answers to come in. So there again, if you are virtual right now, please do the test run with us, just so we know that everybody's online voting option is working. So question number 1 again, do you prefer cats? Do you prefer dogs? Cat, dog, or both? How are we doing over there, Andrew? Still waiting? And this is going to be one of the issues, just a heads up, when you're doing hybrid. I love having hybrid because we get to see everybody in person, but it does make it more difficult because we are doing it virtually as well, obviously, as counting the votes in this room. We got the thumbs up. Thanks for everybody. Second question, number 2. Do you like the rain? Yes, no, or abstain? We all live in Vancouver. The answer better be yes, or in the Lower Mainland. So virtual. So for those of you outside of Vancouver, please make a note: yes, no, or abstain. And if you are having technical difficulties, please let us know right now, the Q&A section down at the bottom, and we will do our best to help you before we get started with our AGM and our education session. And we have the thumbs up. So thank you for everybody who took part in our fun little training session. That is great. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, then we can officially acknowledge 100% that we are incredibly grateful to be gathered on Indigenous land, regardless of where you're joining from. So here in Richmond, we are grateful to be on the traditional, the ancestral, and the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. We honor their enduring connection to this land, and we express our deep gratitude for the opportunity to live, to work, and to connect on this territory. During today's annual general meeting, we are going to be recognizing BCSS longtime supporter, Garrett Vandeleer. Garrett is going to be given our annual award. It's a very special award, acknowledging a very special person and a very special supporter of BCSS. And Garrett will be acknowledged with the BCSS Champion Award. Then after the AGM portion of today's session, we are going to have a 10-minute break, and then it will be followed by our education session. We are extremely honored and will be extremely honored to have Minister Whiteside, the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, here in this room with us today. And I'm just so grateful that she came and will be here in person, especially on a Saturday, and the fact that she was at our event in May as well. And then we are going to have our keynote speaker all the way from Toronto, first time to Vancouver, which is so wonderful to have you here. So we're going to have Dr. Agarwal, and he is going to be our keynote speaker, and you are going to be presenting on the past, present, and future of schizophrenia. So thank you very much for being here. But first, our AGM. It is an absolute pleasure to work with Jack Middleton. Jack Middleton is the president of our board, and I am once again very honored to be able to work with this man. So Jack, over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jack Middleton. As Phaedra mentioned, I have had the pleasure of serving as the president of the BCSS for the past year and being on the board since 2020. To everyone in the room and online who I've met, I appreciate you. And if I haven't met you, please come find me after. I'd love to get to know you and get to know more about you. Thank you for joining the AGM today. To start, we want to remind you about the process for the AGM. During the meeting, I will read out motions and ask for someone to move that motion. If you would like to move a motion, call out your full name. If you're attending the event in person, or type your full name into the Q&A box so we know who is moving that motion. For example, I will call out, I, Jack Middleton, move the motion, and Phaedra will then read the name of the member who is making the motion.
Jack Middleton moves this motion.
Perfect. I will then be asking who will second the motion. Similarly, if you would like to second a motion, call out your full name. If you're attending the event in person, or type your full name into the Q&A box so we know you are seconding the motion. For example, I will call out, Jack Middleton, second the motion. Phaedra will then read the name of the member who is seconding that motion. Voting at the AGM is simple. If you're in person, simply raise your card and indicate your choice, yes, no, or abstain. If you're online, simply click or tap the options on the Zoom poll that will appear as a pop-up or as a side panel with your Zoom interface. Please be reminded that only BCSS members are eligible to vote. You're not a member. If you're not a member in good standing, joining us virtually, please do not click on the Zoom poll. The poll will disappear when the time is over, and you will be able to continue watching the live stream. Today's event is made possible with the funding of AbbVie. We thank them so much for their support. With that in mind, I would like to welcome Melanie Aremchambo, Community Relations Manager with AbbVie, to say a few words.
So good afternoon, and thank you, Jack. I'm Melanie Archambault. I'm the Community Relations, Patient Relations Manager at AbbVie Canada, and I work in the space of psychiatry. I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity to address you today and really to provide context around AbbVie's role in mental health. So at AbbVie, teams have passionately worked on complex mental health challenges for over 3 decades now, and really have a shared goal of addressing unmet needs in this space. Today, AbbVie offers a portfolio of medicines across psychiatric conditions, including depression, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia. Our scientists do remain committed to finding answers to the most complex questions. Our commitment, though, to help Canadians living with a mental illness go far beyond providing medications. We work with a variety of stakeholders to contribute to reducing stigma and improving care through our support to healthcare providers, to organizations like the BC Schizophrenia Society, as well as the provincial and the federal governments. We advocate and we educate on the topic of mental illness to eliminate those systemic inequities and improve access to care for Canadians living with a mental illness. AbbVie is proud to support this year's AGM and education session. And we hope that our sponsored session on the past, present, and the future of schizophrenia with Dr. Agarwal here sparks many thoughts and discussions on the topic. So thank you very much and enjoy the meeting today.
Thank you, Melanie, for sharing your remarks, and also to Dana and Ahmed from AbbVie for joining us in person today. Also, thank you once again to AbbVie for your continued support of BCSS. And we have a quorum, so let's begin our AGM, noting that it is 1:11. And now to call order to the British Columbia Schizophrenia Society 2022-2023 Annual General Meeting. The first order of business is the approval of our agenda. Who would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda? Susan Inman. Perfect. Who's seconding? Perfect. Voting for this motion will now begin. If you vote yes, please raise your card now. If you vote no, please raise your card now. If anyone is abstaining, please raise your card now. All right. And we'll just take a moment to calculate the online. The total is 35. The motion received 35 yes. The motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we will be reviewing the 2021-22 BCSS AGM minutes from Saturday, October 15th, 2022. If you have any corrections to the minutes, please raise your hand to let us know or submit them in your Q&A box now. Phaedra will read them out. Let's wait a moment to see if there's any corrections. None from the floor. Any online? Perfect. Who would like to make a motion for the BCSS AGM minutes from last year? Who is seconding? Thank you. Voting for the motion will now begin. If you are voting yes, please raise your card now. No, please raise your card now. And abstaining. It looks like none there, so we'll count online. The motion received 40 yes votes and is carried. Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the audited financial statements. For our next, I turn the floor over to our auditor, Eric Alice from Tompkins Wozni Chartered Professional Accountants, to present. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric. I'm a partner with Tompkins Wozni, and we audited your financial statements for your March 31st, 2023 fiscal year end. It's our job really to validate the financial statements. The financial statements are prepared by your management team, and then it's our job to do a risk assessment, see where it can go wrong in the financial statements. That's what we're always worried about as auditors, making sure that the revenue is complete, that the expenses are supported, that your cash balances exist and there's banking controls in place. There's overall a system of internal controls over your financial records and financial reporting, and just looking to make sure this is a fair story of financially for your year 2023. And so we're independent, come in at the end of the year and provide an opinion in that regard. And maybe I will share my screen. Here is the financial statements for 2023. Here is our auditor's report. And after we audited those risk areas, revenues complete, making sure expenses are supported, balance sheet, March 31st is all in order, internal controls. We report back to you, the members, on being independent on where we think everything landed. And I'm happy to report that all went very, very well. So as independent auditors from Tompkins Wozni, we are stating, in our opinion, we feel that these financial statements do present fairly for your March 31st, 2023 fiscal year end in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. So for a charity that is accepting of donation revenue, this is very much an unqualified, clean report. And I just want to give a big thank you to your management team, Phaedra, Sunita, Andrew, and others, and your board of directors, Jack and Joanne, your treasurer, for keeping very good records, diligence over the accounts, and they were very attentive during the audit process. So that's our audit report for your 2023 fiscal year end. And I'll just quickly highlight the financial statements for this fiscal year. There's two main financial statements. First, there's statement of financial position, which is a balance sheet at the end of the day, March 31st, with comparison to last year. So at the end of the year, we are showing total assets of $5.5 million, mostly made up of cash and investments. On the other side of the balance sheet is your obligations, your total liabilities, and that was at $4,470,000. And so when we take your assets of 5.5 million minus the liabilities of 4.4, we get what's left over. Total net assets, called retained earnings or equity. It's our unrestricted equity that we get to carry forward into 2024. That's at 1,060,415. So this can absorb any losses going forward, or it has available for the board to make additional investments. Last year, that number was at 882,000. So it has increased by 178,000, your net equity. And just jumping ahead for a moment, that's because that was the net income this year. You had a surplus of 178,000, and it increased our equity to 1,060,000. The only other change I would highlight on this, the assets grew by quite a bit, and so did the liabilities. And the reason for that is you have some multi-year revenue contracts that you've received going up to 2025. So we have that in cash, and we have that in unearned grants that we'll be recognizing over the next few years, over 2025, and they offset. So that's a good balance sheet at the end of the year with comparison to last year. Did increase these net assets by 178,000. And that's because if we go to the other main statement, the statement of operations, this is where we show all the revenues and expenses throughout the entire year, for the year ended March 31st. And total revenues came in just over $2.5 million. Total expenses, 2.3. There's that surplus that we carry forward into next year. And very stable. The province of BC and some other funders, it's probably about 86% of our total revenues. Interest rates did go up, so interest revenue is up, and then some donation revenue. And you also have a foundation that has some donation revenue as well. And so revenues came in at 2.5, and then the disbursements. 75% of all our expenses are concentrated in human resources and our people, 1.74 million this year, and then some other operating and overhead costs. So revenues of 2.5, expenses of 2.3, a surplus of 178,000 that we brought into our equity that we're carrying forward into next year, fully represented by cash and investments, and then our unqualified report on those financial figures. So that's the financial report for 2023. If anyone has any questions or comments, I'd be happy to take those.
Are there any questions for Eric? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation, Eric. We'll look to have a motion to approve the 2022-23 BC audited financial statements for the year ending March 31st, 2023. Will someone make a motion? Thank you, John Ellery Gray. Who's seconding? Thank you, Renato. Okay, if you'd like to vote yes, please raise your card. Keep them up for a moment. All right, any no's or abstaining? Seeing none, we'll calculate. 41. This motion has received 41 yeses and the motion is carried. Those yeses are going up each time, so we're getting better participation. It's good. Next, we are appointing the auditor for next year. The motion on the floor is to appoint Tompkins Wozni LLP as the auditor for 2023-24. Who will make that motion? And seconding? Perfect. If you're voting yes, please raise your card now. Any no's or abstaining? We've received 46. It's going up every single time. I'm so proud of all of you. Perfect. The motion is carried and we're on to the president's report. I want to start by first acknowledging the generosity of donors over the last year, corporate sponsors, stakeholders, and volunteers who help sustain programs and services that help people throughout BC. I'd also like to especially thank the BC government and former Minister of Mental Health, Sheila Malcolmson, for championing our organization and for working with us to secure funding in 2021 and longer-term funding in 2022. I'd also like to thank the BCSS Champion Award winner, Garrett Vandelier, whom I will speak about later for his efforts. And later today, you'll be hearing from the new Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, Jennifer Whiteside. This is a relationship that we really value, and we are so appreciative of her participation today. Minister Whiteside came to our event, The Eye of the Storm, in June and spoke, giving us a chance to hear about her and her government's commitment to people with serious mental illness. I'd also like to thank our board member, Susan Inman, for the idea to do that event and for the team who pulled it together and made it a reality. Because after the pandemic and the challenges of meeting in person, I'm so proud of the effort the team has done this year to ramp up those in-person events and some of the online ones as well. These events help educate and equip our members with the leading information in this space to help them advocate for people with mental illness. It's wonderful to be here in person again, and I appreciate that you're all here. And in May, I had the opportunity to speak to the Select Standing Committee on Finance and Government Services for their annual budget consultation. I'm proud to say that in their August report from those sessions, that all three of our suggestions were put into their report. I'll read those out here for you today so that you have them and you know what we're talking about. And it was an increase in collaborative partnerships with families within BC, the BC mental health system, increasing hospital and community-based serious mental illness services and supports across BC, and the protection of the provision under the BC Mental Health Act that allows for the judicious use of involuntary treatment. We could not have generated those recommendations without the efforts of the Public Policy Committee chaired by John Ellery. Thank you. Thank you also to our BCSS staff team and our family educators all over the province for another successful year in reaching families across the province. and increasing awareness about serious mental illness. There are a lot of small and time-consuming things that go into running an organization like this, and our team goes above and beyond every day to make those happen. And before I finish, I also want to take a moment to commend the families that BCSS supports and recognize their courage and resilience that they show every day in the face of schizophrenia and serious mental illness. This illness is isolating and it's lonely and frightening. Both together, families are stronger and our organization is better off with all of you in it. I'm very proud of the work our organization does, and for everyone who spends even a moment of your day supporting us and thinking about us, thank you. Because of you, families affected by schizophrenia and other serious mental illnesses continue to receive great support and education. And now we're on to the appointment of BCSS Board of Directors for 2022 and 23. The slate for the upcoming year's board is David Halikowski, Dr. John Gray, Joanne Learn, Donna Motzer, Don Monsieur, Lena Bortnick, Susan Inman, Jack Middleton, Dr. Fidel Villa Rodriguez, Paul Bouchan, Colleen Crossley, Brenda Sawatsky-Gerling, and Alexander Hanton Wright. Who will make a motion to approve the slate? Thank you. Who's seconding? All right, voting will now commence. If you're voting yes, please raise your card. If no, please raise your card. And abstaining. All right. We've received 39 yeses. The motion is carried. And I'm now going to turn the floor back over to Phaedra, our CEO. Thank you.
Yeah, so like I said, I am just so grateful that you're all here today, and whether you are online or whether you're in person. I really want to give a shout out, and I know I've already done this, but I have to do it again. I have to give a shout out to the team. Sitting in the audience right now is Kim. Kim actually retired from BCSS, but she made her way here. I think it shows the dedication to our team. And the fact that Kim was with us for almost 25 years and still is involved with this organization. So Kim, thank you for all your support and your continued support. So I also want to give a shout out to Andrew Stewart, who's in the back, Sunita, who is in charge of our finances. We have Valeria, who is new to our team. So thanks for being here. Melissa is our amazing communications person. I'm just so grateful, each and every one of them. We have Rosemary, who is our point person back there. And today's event would not be possible without Conan Lee in the back there. So Conan, I have to give you a huge round of applause for keeping us all in order. Honestly, Conan we just said, Conan, you are the point person. You tell us where we need to be and what we need to do. And he's done it. And it was not, like I said at the beginning, it was not easy today. And Marsha, I can't forget about you back there. Marsha in the red shirt, our new director of development. Marsha, I'm so glad you're on this team. And I say it all the time, just we would not be able to do it without this team. We also would not be able to do it without our regional managers and our educators across the entire province. And I say this all the time. You, our educators are in the room right now. I'm looking at some of you right now, have the toughest job. You are the ones working directly with our families. You are the ones dealing with the trauma and the devastation when a family first gets a diagnosis of schizophrenia. Many of our families don't even know what schizophrenia even means. They don't understand that it's a brain illness. It's an illness that affects many of us. It affects families across this entire province. It affects everyone across the entire world. And I just really want to give a shout out to our team. So for those of you in the room, thank you. For those of you that are online, thank you very much for everything that you've done. And this is my problem. And I promised the team I would stick to my notes because I never do. But I'm trying to stick to my notes, Conan, I promise. And this is for you. Yeah. So yeah, I'm also very grateful to the board. As I said earlier, I have the great honor of working with Jack and the rest of the board, both the society board, the foundation board, which is led by Renate, our very active policy committee led by Dr. John Gray, as well as our medical advisory board. And it's so nice to have that medical advisory board that we can lean on for their medical expertise. So we're not doing this alone. And I say it all the time, this takes a village to be able to do what we do. It truly does take a village. It also takes a village when it comes to our sponsorship and our funding. We wouldn't be able to do it without organizations like AbbVie, who is here today to be able to sponsor this event. And we need to continue to develop those relationships, and we want to partner. So thank you for being a partner in this journey with us, AbbVie. I also want to specifically thank our provincial government, the ministry, the ministers of the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions. We could not 100% do what we do for families across this province without the provincial government support. And I wish Minister Whiteside was right here so I could be saying this to her, but she will be soon enough. And I'm really grateful for the continued financial relationship we have with the provincial government and with organizations and businesses like AbbVie, but also for the relationship that we've been able to develop, because without relationships, you don't have anything. So thank you. And yeah, this has been quite the year we have had for our team. We've strengthened our Strengthening Families Together program. So for those of you that don't know what that is, it is a 6-week program designated and focused on supporting families with a loved one with a severe and persistent mental illness. We have revamped the program so we're able to provide it in person or virtually across the province. We also have been receiving a lot of questions of people wanting to attend the program outside of British Columbia. And I think that speaks to a few things. I think that speaks to the fact that we offer an amazing program, and that it goes beyond our provincial borders. And I think it speaks to a gap. It speaks to a very large gap in our system. And I think programs like SFT, we're also going to be focusing on a Strengthening Families Together through an Indigenous lens. So SFTI, we are going to be really focusing on that. But also this year, we've strengthened our family support groups. Family support groups are so impactful. They are incredibly meaningful for those families that need that support, to acknowledge that they are not alone in this journey, to acknowledge that there is support out there. Because let's face it, when you walk in as a family member into a doctor's office, you may not get that support. The physician may not have the time to be able to dedicate to the family and to be able to say, here's what you can do. And that's where BCSS can come in. And that's where BCSS, for 40 years, we've been able to provide these services, and we hope we're here for another 40 plus years. But I just, right from the Strengthening Families Together program, our family support program, we also offer one-on-one support. So that's where if a family has questions about involuntary treatment, what is involuntary treatment? What does the Mental Health Act mean? What does involuntary admission mean? What does medication mean? What does a psychiatrist do? Very basic, but sometimes incredibly overwhelming questions for families. And that's why BCSS is here, whether it be an official 6-week program or whether it be in a family support group or that one-on-one support. That is why we are here. Another big focus of this past year was education. And many of you and SORI board members and my team, you've heard me say this a million times. I say I got on my soapbox and I'm going to do it again. We need to increase awareness about severe and persistent mental illness. We need to be shouting it from the rooftops. It's not mental health. Everybody needs to be concerned and focused on their mental health, whether you have a mental illness or not. Severe and persistent mental illness is something that we all need to address. And the only way to help reduce the stigma that it still exists, the many myths that still exist around schizophrenia, is through education and awareness. And our team, We've done an incredible job. We still have a long way to go, don't get me wrong, but we've done an incredible job of making headway through our newsletters. We have multiple newsletters now. Through our podcast, we're entering season number 4, so please stay tuned for that. We were on Spotify, many episodes, and there again, I think it speaks to our gap that we have. Melissa is going to be co-hosting the podcast with me this year. So Melissa, thank you for that. BCSS has been around for 41 years. And like I said, we're hoped to be around for many, many, many years more. So thank you to each and every one of you for being a part of BCSS. Thank you, whether you're here as a member, whether you are here as a family member, whether you are here as an individual living with this illness. I applaud you. I commend you. Thank you for being here and for listening to me get on my soapbox again. And Jack, I will turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Phaedra. I'm now thrilled to present this year's BCSS Champions Award to Garrett Vanderleer. Thank you also to Leslie, Garrett's wife, for joining us today. Garrett has worked closely with the BCSS for 30 years. He has provided guidance that has been an integral part of many initiatives with the BCSS and the things that we've been involved in. These initiatives include the development of the Early Psychosis Intervention EPI program and the EPI Advanced Practice Model, the Assertive Community Treatment Teams Act, as well as the Cognitive Rehabilitation Initiative currently underway. Before working with BCSS, Garrett supported the development of the Alberta Schizophrenia Society in the early 1980s. His longstanding involvement with schizophrenia societies demonstrates his passion and dedication to assisting those with severe and persistent mental illness and their families. Garrett recently retired from the Ministry of Health as Executive Director of the Mental Health and Substance Use Division, but he returned shortly after to the ministry as the Senior Advisor of Mental Health and Substance Use Services. We truly appreciate his assistance and continued willingness to go above and beyond to assist BC's most vulnerable. Garrett's dedication and to improving the lives of those affected by serious mental illness is reflected in his professionalism, commitment, and advocacy for the populations BCSS serves throughout the province. Today, the BCSS would like to recognize you, Garrett, with the Champions Award. It's given to people who have played an essential role in promoting the vision of the province, of its vision throughout the province, where those living with schizophrenia receive excellent treatment and services. I hope people will join me in applauding Garrett for his extraordinary contributions. I'd like to welcome you to the stage to give a few remarks. We're going to get a photo of this.
All right, I have a few words. Thank you very much for this beautiful award. It feels like being homed right now, and really so nice to see the families that are working and dealing with their loved ones on a day-to-day basis. To get an award like this really is just not only beautiful, it's hard to express my feelings and emotions on a day like this. It's a long journey, and the work that BCSS is doing is so important to live with people with lived experience, to deal with the challenges on a day-to-day basis. And so I've always had the opportunity to really reflect and to see what families are needed. My involvement with BCSS, as Jack said, goes back many, many years. It actually started in day one when I worked as a social worker in a psychiatric hospital. And I didn't see the family rooms. I didn't see the flowers. I didn't see the space where people usually come together in acute care. Why is it so different? And I learned over time the challenges that families have experienced. My involvement as well in terms of the advocacy and the support that BCS has given has played an important role in overall the guidance that the ministries have received. Without the guidance and the policies and directions that have been provided by BCSS, I don't think we would have the services we have today. For example, BCSS played an important role in the early psychosis intervention program that you referenced, Jack, a program that was initiated in 2000 and resulted in the intervention of psychosis at a very early age. When I started my career in a psychiatric hospital, I saw people for the first time being treated after 10 to 15 years suffering from untreated psychosis. Tremendous impact on families and people living in the basement without any understanding, any cure, any support and guidance. Nowadays, we see young people being addressed as early as in their 12th, 13th age and picking up the early signs of schizophrenia. Australia has set up a standard of 3 months of early intervention for psychosis. In my time when I started, it was 15, 20 years. So what a tremendous improvements over time. Another example, I think, that BCS has really been shining is the development of cognitive remediation. You took the leadership to develop a conference. You basically raised the issue, although the service was not new. It has been operating for about 10 years in other jurisdictions. Again, it was your leadership that really resulted in bringing experts together to policymakers like myself. And ultimately, it resulted in the first development of the service province-wide, and hopefully the pilot sites will be successful so that we can make this a core service for all members of the suffering from psychosis. I also want to mention the ongoing support and guidance that in issues and challenges regarding the Mental Health Act that you're dealing with. And John Gray is just doing a fantastic job. I'm still going by John. He basically has been a tremendous advocate to make sure the family perspective is well reflected in the Mental Health Act. And let me tell you, it's my area of expertise that I deal with on a daily basis as a senior advisor. And it's a tremendous challenge to keep the legal advocates and the challenges we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And John is just doing a fantastic work, as well as the committee. The core services of BCSS provided to families and loved ones are well recognized. And I just want to say, over the 41 years, it's still so sad that we still have the challenge of having physicians and the multidisciplinary teams working not with families and not getting them involved in the whole process. And we even have developed standards in that sometimes FOI regulations and policies are standing in the way. And now there is a requirement, if you are the primary caregiver, even if the person that's detained under the Mental Health Act is not identifying you as their nearest relative, we have an obligation to inform you what's happening, inform you about the fact that you should be part of the treatment plan. So it's an area that needs further work, and there are still gaps. We also have to do more deep listening, really understanding the challenges. I personally I don't think Jack was aware of that, but I was challenged as well in the early 80s and 70s about what is it like to live with mental illness. So actually, we had a person for 6 months living with us in our home and really experienced it. And it was an eye-opener, even right afterwards, because I thought he was declined. I was supporting it very well. And then I learned that all earnings that he made, he was giving to religious organizations, and he didn't have a penny to live independently. So it's always a challenge to see all the issues. So deep listening for government is extremely important. The core services BC provides for families and loved ones are well recognized and beautiful examples of the close partnerships that the ministry has and BCSS has, and vice versa, with both the Ministry of Health and BCS. I think BC has shown good leadership. It has shown excellent services. It has a board of directors that I think is just fantastic to see the commitment and to me, it's a dedication. I mean, how many years have we seen some of the members already being supporting the board? So I think I see a future well beyond 41 years. I see a future that is bright. And as you said, there are many organizations that are dealing with families with schizophrenia. I think this one is outstanding and the work you're doing. And so I'm not surprised you're getting calls from out of province. So again, thank you very much for this beautiful award. Thank the members and executives for giving this award to me. And you have my full support, and no matter in what position I'm in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Garrett. I think it's easy to see why that award was won by you there. I want to let you know that if you're not a BCSS member, that you can please become one. It's free. We remove the cost for it. It gives you access to various events and the ability to vote at our AGM. You can do that. If you're online, you'll see in the chat that has been placed there for you. But if you'd like to join, please go to the website and sign up. Through your membership, you are helping to make us stronger as an organization. A strong membership gives us a louder voice on matters of importance to families, and together we can build a future with less stigma and a province that provides excellent treatment. And now it's time to close the BCSS AGM for another year. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn? Perfect. And a seconder. Thank you. If you vote yes, please raise your card. That's very enthusiastic. Keep those cards up. We got to get the count. Perfect. 45 votes yes, and we are adjourned at 1:49. Conan didn't think we were going to make the timeline of 2, but I have to say, even with all of my yammering, we made it. Huge thank you once again to our sponsor today, AbbVie. We really appreciate you for being here and for your ongoing support. And now I will turn the microphone over to Phaedra. Thank you.
So yes, so the official part of the AGM is over, but the day is not done. That is for sure. We're going to have our education session here shortly. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. Please help yourself to coffee, tea. There's looks like some goodies over there. And then when we come back, we have the great honor of introducing you to Minister Whiteside, who will be saying a few words and will be kicking off the event. But until then, we're going to show a video, and this video is part of our partnership presentation program, and it's brand new. And when I mean it's brand new, I mean it is brand new. We didn't know if we were going to be able to show this. At 8 o'clock last night, we got the thumbs up that we could actually show it today. So hot off the presses, here is the video. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Enjoy the break.